Hi everyone, I'm Gautam, aka The Seeker of Wisdom. I'm a manifestation coach, and in this video, we're going to be talking about dealing with the 3D as you manifest your SP. Now, before I do so, I'd like to remind you guys I am available for coaching. I offer hourly, monthly, email, and DM coaching. The link will be in the description down below for an FAQ page where I've listed down all the information. I also have a Facebook group where I upload articles and posts from time to time, and where you can ask me questions anonymously. And I also have a mailing list where I'll post articles and resources, as well as my latest offers for coaching as well. Again, all the link will be in the description down below, so be sure to check it out. So without further ado, let's get to it. So what prompted this video was actually a suggestions from my suggestions form that I have, which I have also listed down in the description down below. So one of you guys asked me, how do you deal with the 3D as you manifest your SP? And this was such a great question, so I'm going to be tackling it in a couple different ways. So one, I'm going to be talking about it in general, and I'm also going to be going into this with regards to an SP. Now, for those of you who don't know what an SP stands for, normally I mean specific person, right? Some people call it special person as well, but specific person is, someone that you are manifesting into your life, oftentimes this being a romantic person, like in a romantic manner, you want to manifest this person as your life partner and so on, right? Either as a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking about dealing with the 3D for your general manifestations, maybe like say your job or your house and whatnot, and then I'm going to be diving in deeper with context to the SP. So I also answered something along this line in my recent Q&A that I've also uploaded onto the channel, but I'm going to be going into this with a little bit more detail, so as that you guys will understand this in a much better way. So in the Q&A, someone asked, like, how do I deal with the 3D, and I mentioned, like, by knowing what it is, right? And essentially what I meant was 3D is a result of past thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs, and if I can change that, I should be able to change what I'm seeing in my 3D, right? So if I can change my thoughts, and if I can assume something better, right, that is in alignment to my desire, that is what I'm going to see in my 3D as well. So when you recognize that what you're seeing right now is a result of past thoughts, you wouldn't think like, okay, why is this happening to me, or anything like that. It's like you approach it from an objective standpoint rather than from an emotional perspective, if you will. So you just see it as, okay, cool, this was a result of my past thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs, and if I change that, this has to change, it has no choice. And you just imagine better, you affirm better, you are just aware of like your thoughts, and you change it, and you will definitely see the changes in that. So that's one way to deal with it, right? And also what you can do is you can see everything as the bridge of incidence to your desire, because the moment you desire something, it's already done, right? So from that point onwards, what you're doing is every step that you're taking is a step closer to your desire, right? So you can view it as every step from then is simply the bridge of incidence unfolding towards the fulfillment of your desire, right? So it's really about approaching every single day with a sense of confidence. Now notice how I said how to deal with the 3D rather than how to ignore 3D, right? And the reason why I'm very careful with that wording is you're not going to ignore 3D, right? Because what do you do when it's in your face, right? Because you have to deal with certain things, and you have to deal with the day-to-day aspects of it. But when you come from a sense of knowing that it is a done deal, right, it becomes a much easier task for you. So one way to get this sense of knowingness is to dwell in your imaginal scenes more, is to really feel them real as much as you can. So whenever you have time, right, like imagine your scenes, right, or have that inner conversations with your employers or your friends or family or whatnot, depending on your situation, for example, right? And really immerse yourself in those scenarios, in your imaginal scenes, right? And imagination, again, just wanted to bring this up really quick, is that imagining does not only mean visualizing, right? It can also mean like inner conversations, or like just hearing voices, or just dwelling in that feeling, just dwelling in the sense of knowingness that it's all done. That's imagining too. So anyways, coming back to the topic, so you imagine it to be real, you dwell in your imaginal scenes, and you really do it as often as you can, whenever you can, ideally first thing in the morning, and right before you sleep. And what that is going to do is to make this much more of a believable experience, right? Because the reason why athletes, especially like sprinters and whatnot, they imagine and rehearse in their mind before they actually do those actual things, is because that fires up the same neurons and muscles in your body, right? And why? Because your body, your mind can't differentiate between imaginal scenes and what you're witnessing in the 3D. So what imagining and dwelling in your scenes does is that it really puts you right in the middle of it all, and therefore you're going to be feeling it real, right? So when you feel it real, you are in the end state of things, which is then going to manifest your desires. So dwelling in your imaginal scenes more essentially puts you in the end state of mind, and therefore you're going to attract circumstances based on the end state, right? So because state is really just a result of thoughts, right? Thinking favorable thoughts, and because thoughts manifest, that's what you're going to receive in your life. So again, dwell in your imaginal scenes more. And another thing to remember as you go by 3D is to really come at it from a place that this is not permanent. This isn't permanent at all. Like what you're witnessing right now is not permanent. And even if like however like solid it may seem right now, however set in stone things may seem right now, right? Whatever you're witnessing right now is not permanent, right? It's as fluid as it can be. Reality is so fluid that people just don't realize it because everything seems so solidly real, right? And so remind yourself that what you're witnessing is not permanent. Things change, circumstances change, people change, right? So like know that, and really go into the world with that, with the sense of knowing that what I'm witnessing isn't permanent. Things are constantly evolving, things are constantly changing, and however unfavorable things may seem right now from where I'm at, things will become favorable for me, right? Because I have already declared my desire to be true, and everything has to conform to that. And because I know that, I'm not going to be concerned about what I'm seeing right now. And that's how you generally deal with 3D. That's how I generally deal with the 3D, right? Sometimes like sure, there are day-to-day things that may not resonate with me, that I may perceive as unfavorable, but I approach it from a place of knowingness that however unfavorable or unlikely it may seem from where I stand right now, some way somehow this too is a bridge of incidence to my desire, and I'm going to trust the process because I have seen it here. And as Neville would say, God shall not be mocked, right? So you're not going to doubt the process, you're not going to ask how, you're not going to ask when, you're simply going to know that it is done, and that sense of knowingness is enough to get you to where you desire. And that's how I deal with it all the time, right? I know that it is done, so I'm not going to ask how or when or whatnot, right? Because I know that if I have seen it in my mind, it has to pan out. There's no other way. And because that seed is already planted, and because it already exists in the infinite planes of creation, I'm just going to go by my day knowing that this is already a done deal, and that in some way, some form, this has to happen for me, right? And I just go by my life, and I know that everything I'm doing right now, unconsciously, it's all unfolding in my favor. And I just go by my life. And when things really like gets bad for me, so to speak, and whatnot, what I would do is I just tell myself this isn't permanent, because I already know that my desires are a done deal. And that's what I do to really deal with the 3D on a day-to-day basis, if you will. Because that was a one of my DMs, one of my friends was asking me like, okay, but how do I deal with like if I want to be in a warm place, but if I'm in the middle of a snowstorm right now, like how do I deal with it? And I told that person like by knowing that this isn't permanent, right? Sure, you may not like immediately feel the warmth, right? But by knowing that it isn't permanent, you will be led through a series of circumstances that will get you there. And the same thing happened with Neville, right? He was in New York, he wanted to go to Barbados, right? Abdullah kept telling him, you're now in Barbados, you're now in Barbados, right? And he kept doubting the process from time to time, as many of us do. And then eventually what happened, right? He went to Barbados. Not just went to Barbados, but he went in first class as well, right? So you can always, like, just deal with the 3D as, you just go by your days, and the incidents, the bridge has to unfold. Like Neville's case, again, he didn't do anything to manipulate the situation in his favor. Rather, his brother Victor sent the money for the ticket, and so on, right? So the bridge of incidents will unfold in the most magical of ways, and you have to just trust the process, right? How? By knowing that what you're imagining right now already exists, right? So these are ways that you can cope with it, right? As you go on a day-to-day basis. Now, with regards to SP specifically, how do you deal with the 3D, right? The first thing I would say, practically speaking, like, don't check their social medias, right? Whether you are in contact or no contact or whatsoever, oftentimes checking social media leads to a lot of spirals. I have seen so many clients at this point, guys, like, half of their problems, like, and I'm going to be very blunt here, half of their problems wouldn't even exist if they stop checking their social media, right? If they stop checking their social media, like, half of it wouldn't even exist, right? Because a lot of it comes from unfavorable speculations or assumptions, if you will. So stop checking their social media, right? Because if you can, like, stop checking their social media, essentially what you're doing is you're cutting off a source that's showing you potentially unfavorable information. And when you do that, right, you don't have anything in your face that says otherwise in regards to your imaginal scenes. And that is a huge thing for many people, because a lot of people say, well, if I'm imagining this, then my SP is doing this on social media, what do? Don't check the social media firstly, right? Why are you even checking their social media, right? Because you want to see if this is, things are shifting in your favor. You want to see if things are moving in your favor, to what you have imagined. But the thing is, there is a time delay here, right? So you have to trust the process, that it has to pan out, because what you're witnessing right now is a result of past thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs. It's as good as talking to a character on a movie screen, right? Obviously the characters aren't going to respond to you because it's playing, it's a recording, right? So coming at it from that perspective is really going to help you. So please don't check their social medias, especially if you are in a very emotional, reactive, and a vulnerable state. Checking their social media isn't the most ideal thing. And if you're in a no contact situation as well, use that to your advantage by dwelling in your imaginal scenes more, by telling yourself that this isn't permanent. And of course, if you're doing inner conversations with your SP, that's fine as well, right? So you guys can do that in order to really, really, really come to like dealing with the 3D. Because remember, sometimes this journey isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So be patient with yourself and really dwell in your imaginal scenes more, and come at it from a place of knowing that if all my other past thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs can happen, right, this can happen too. Because oftentimes, when you're talking like no contact situations for SP, right, that is a manifestation in and of itself, because of, like, your fearful thoughts, your unfavorable thoughts, and insecurities, doubts, and so on, right? So if that can happen, so can the favorable ones. All you have to do is simply assume the best and keep going. That's all you have to do, right? So the other thing is, like, when you are interacting with your SP, right? So we talked about like no contact and social media to an extent, right? But what if you are interacting with your SP, and what if they are bringing up third party? Because that's something that I've seen quite a bit recently. So what do you do then, right? As you are sitting with them, that that is the unfavorable version of them that's currently in the 3D that you're interacting with, right? So the first thing you can do is you can have it in a conversation with them right then and there, and you can literally tell them through your mind, like, don't talk about 3P anymore, and you can hear them agree to that. And even when you're not with them, you can start to have inner conversations, right, with the ideal version of them. And know that they are conforming, right? Know that they are conforming behind the scenes. And you can deal it with like affirmations too. He loves me and only me, or she loves me and only me. And by saying that over and over again, you ignore current circumstances. You simply declare otherwise. If they do bring up 3P, just like be like, just brush it off, just be like, okay, cool, because you know that you can change it in your mind, right? So having that inner conversation with them right then and there on the spot, or revising the scene immediately there after the interactions and stuff like that, that could really help you there, right? So again, inner conversations, revisions and affirmations could be great tools to dealing with situations like that, right? But no matter what happens, do not react, do not be like, why aren't they conforming, or why aren't they doing X, Y and Z, because they are. There's always movement, regardless of if you can say it or not, because oftentimes, people don't really show their emotions on the outside, so openly, right? We are so guarded up these days, right? We have a lot of like, sort of like emotional gates, so to speak, and we have locked it up super tightly. So people aren't going to really show their emotions or feelings immediately at times, right? And so just knowing that they have like, just know that, because like they may not show it outright, but inside, like in their thoughts, like they are thinking about you, they are moving favorably towards you, they are starting to maybe ponder about the possibilities of like the union with you, so to speak. So make no mistake, even if you don't see any physical evidence, so to speak, things are shifting behind the scenes. So definitely trust the process there. So even if they are bringing the third party and stuff like that, just say like, oh no, I'm the only one that he or she loves, and I know that for a fact. So this doesn't matter, because this is a result of old thoughts and assumptions. And as I am doing all my techniques, and as I'm assuming the best here, they have to conform. I'm going to be shifting into a reality where that ideal version already exists, and that version is separate from this version. So I'm not going to dignify this version by even reacting, right? So that's how you can deal with it, right? And this applies to even with people who are not your SP. If someone is telling you unfavorable things, maybe like your employer telling you maybe why aren't you getting a promotion, for example, you can apply the same thing as well. You can just say like, no, I am getting promoted and you are promoting me, and in your mind you can hear them say, yes, I do, and I will, right? Stuff like that could help you. When it comes to SP, another thing is, don't try to invoke any response from them, right? When it comes to the 3D, because oftentimes that may not, especially if you're in a very reactive state, that may not end favorably for you. So what you can do is simply like have those inner conversations and dwell in that. And that's how I would deal with it if I were to be in your position. That's what I would tell my clients too, is to really not try to invoke a response in the 3D, but rather do everything in your imaginal scenes, your inner conversations, your visualizations, your affirmations, and so on, right? Whatever you want to change within them, right? Like again, it's a recording that's playing in the 3D right now, so you can't really change anything. Know that it's futile, right? Rather you go within and you change everything. That's how you really deal with the 3D as you're going. And regardless of what they are doing right now, again, know that it's not permanent. So if they are not showing you interest, or if they are showing a lot of hot and cold and whatnot, know that it's not permanent, that they are conforming, because you are the only one with free will and they have to conform. And when you know that, when you come from a place of knowingness that they have to conform because you are the only one with free will, that's it. Like that's all you have to know. And when you know that, like they have like no choice, eventually you will see the change, and it's going to be like such a day and night difference. And that's when you're going to realize the power of your imaginal scenes. So regardless of what you see, persist in that new assumption that SP loves you and only you, and that this is all going in a favorable manner for you, regardless of what you see. And so don't be checking on them on the 3D for too long. Don't be doing things to invoke a response from them. You just simply go by your life, right? And even if they another question that I get is, if they text me, how do I respond, right? And so the way I deal with it is, I simply remove my action out of the equation. So what do is, I've made an Instagram post on this too, is the approach called regardless of what I do. So basically what I'll say is like, regardless of what I do, everyone loves me, right? So what this does is it takes the pressure off of my actions, and just declare that regardless of what I do, they'll still love me. So no matter which direction I go in, they still love me. And what a lot of people will use this, some people use this as a loophole actually, to justify like, okay, can I contact my SP and everything like that. And if you're in a no contact situation, or for any other thing for that, because if you say that regardless of what I do, SP still loves me, then can I do that? And the answer is yes, you can. But oftentimes when people try to use this as a loophole, or to get to their SP or something like that, or to break like the no contact, where they are recreating their SP and whatnot, right? Because SP is conforming, like they may receive an unfavorable reply from them when they reach out in that manner. And if worse, if they are a reactive person, that just backfires, right? So this is, I'm saying this because, like, not to scare anyone, but rather like to show, like, when you use these kinds of things that I say as loopholes to counteract, or like to like really go against, like what, like like your thoughts, and just go against like your general law of assumption teachings in general, in the sense that like when we say like like don't like contact your SP while you're reactive and whatnot and everything, you're really like sabotaging yourself, in the sense that when you do these kinds of things, because your underlying thought is still fear based, right, it's still going to backfire. So like you have to, again, like come at it from a place of like confidence, and really like um, love and so on, right? So that's what you're trying to do whilst you are having those inner conversations with SPs. You're really trying to come at it from a place of love and confidence. And when you say regardless of what I do, then that is when it will work, basically. So I hope I'm making sense, right? So again, coming back to the approach of regardless of what I do, is just remind yourself that like your actions are irrelevant. It's really about your thoughts. So again, if you can really shape your thoughts in a favorable manner, then that's what has to pan out. So what you do is, like for example, if your SP is contacting you, you just come at it from a place of love, and really just intend that regardless of what you do, everything turns out favorably for you, and you just respond naturally however you want to, right? You don't have to give single liners just for the sake of it, or you don't have to do things just to just with the hope that they will like you more. And because sometimes it's so easy to fall into that trap. As soon as SP comes into the 3D, in the most loving way possible, sometimes people revert back to their old states, right? So be careful, right? So you just just talk normally, just talk to them as you normally would as to a friend, right? Would you, the best way I normally ask people is like, would you be so managing like all the comments, all the responses and everything, if you were to talk to your best friend? Right? Probably not. If you were to talk to your bestie or your best guy friend, right, would you be talking like like would you be overanalyzing every single text or word that you use? And the answer is probably a no. So apply the same things here, because know that regardless of what you say, even if you quote unquote come off as very cold or something, for example, know that they still love you, right? So don't overanalyze it. Just be natural, and just respond whatever you want to, and intend that regardless of what you do, they still love you with all their heart and soul. And you can never be wrong with that, right? Like, I mean, because you are the creator of your reality, you create the rules here. So set favorable rules for yourself, and you keep going, right? So that's for situations where you are interacting with your SP, and like you don't know how to deal with it, right? You can deal with it however way you want, just with a sense of knowingness that this is um, a done deal regardless of what you do, and you just affirm that, and you just go on. Another thing could be if you are dealing with them on a professional setting, right? How do you deal with that? So you just simply go by your work. If you have to interact with them on a professional, just focus on that. But like in your mind, you can like talk to them. In your mind, you can talk to them whilst they are in close proximity to you, because thought transmissions are real. It has to pan out. So you can like say loving things to them, and you can hear favorable replies from them, and and you just go on by your life. So that's how you go by 3D, right? So let me know if you guys have any questions. We've come to the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for your support. Stay safe, and happy manifesting. Peace.